I'm a fan of wax museums, and this one is the best one I ever visited. The Movieland Wax Museum, Buena Park, California. A little bit of a drive from Los Angeles, not very far from Disneyland, very close to Knott's Berry Farm. On a street, Beach Boulevard, that used to be a tourist mecca, and I feel like a lot of the tourist dollars just have gone elsewhere. And so the Movieland Wax Museum closed shop in 2005. The wax sculptures were mostly auctioned off in 2006. For example, this one of the Star Trek set sold for $80,000. A couple friends purchased it, and then recently they donated it to the Hollywood Sci-Fi Museum, which is scheduled to open this year. This is Cynthia Lazarus. She purchased several of the Wax Museum setups. She got the entire Wizard of Oz cast. She also got the Phantom of the Opera playing at the organ, and she got Rocky Balboa in his little boxing ring, and more. I think she got more than that. So very cool. I know the city of Buena Park kept the Shirley Temple one, but to date, I don't think they've ever displayed it anywhere, which I hope they do. The bulk of the figures were purchased by a South Korean businessman named Yang Dong-hee, who also purchased the rights to the Movieland Wax Museum logo and the Movieland Wax Museum name. And then he opened the Movieland Wax Museum in Jeju Island, South Korea. So here's the lobby of the Movieland Wax Museum, which I thought closed down for good in 2005, but now exists in South Korea. In the lobby, you can get your photo taken with the Incredible Hulk. In the lobby of the old museum, you would get your photo taken with George Burns. I sat right in that chair next to him, and they took my picture. I bought a 5x7. George Burns had been dead for almost a decade at that point. So here is the Clint Eastwood figure in Movieland in Buena Park. And here it is in its new location in South Korea. At the Movieland Wax Museum, they displayed Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, and here he is currently at Movieland, South Korea. They have tons of other ones, including the famous Singing in the Rain set. They also have these great placards by the figures, and one of the things I like is that they actually stress the history of these figures being in the Movieland Wax Museum as being a big deal. They say this was in a museum in Hollywood for 50 years, and now the tradition continues. So this is the robot in the Movieland Wax Museum in Buena Park. In the one in South Korea, they tell you that it was a prototype made by the studio in 1955, donated to Movieland in 1965, and that this is the only plastic prototype of Robbie the Robot that ever existed. Today, he's in the lobby of the Wax Museum in South Korea. Most of the figures from Buena Park are in the Hollywood Legends Pavilion. This is their setup for the figure that I said was the worst of that museum, which was the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone. I felt the likeness wasn't great. I also feel like the outfit they have him in doesn't match anything I ever remember him wearing in that movie. That's what he looked like at Buena Park. Here is a picture from Buena Park. This is Walt Disney along with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Over in South Korea, they only have the two dwarves. I don't know what happened to Snow White, but they stuck the dwarves in with Macaulay Culkin. You see them there? See those dwarves? I don't understand what the dwarf is bending over in front of Snow White. I don't understand if there's some... Was there a spanking scene in that movie? I forgot. Like when they didn't wash their hands, did she be like, all right, everybody bend over. Time to... Here's Kevin Costner from Dances with Wolves. This was the elaborate Dr. Zhivago setup. Here's an old press photo from the 70s when Santa Claus came to visit the museum. And today, that Dr. Zhivago set is entertaining visitors every day in South Korea. This is the Ben-Hur set, which has these taxidermied horses. Here's Jim Carrey in the Buena Park Wax Museum. He was in like the gift shop area next to Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. They redressed him in South Korea, and now he's there next to John Travolta, and they're promoting Face Off and The Mask. Marlon Brando as the Godfather sold for $7,500. Now he's in South Korea, and you get to sit at the table like you're having a meeting with him. It's one of the more interactive ones. I know at Madame Tussauds, they let you just put your hands all over them. At Movieland, they never let you touch the figures, and I like this. I like that you kind of sit across from them and get a pretty good picture with the Godfather. According to the new owner of these wax figures, they take about 350 hours to produce and cost $100,000 in the old days. But today, with computer technology, they can cut the price by a third, and they can cut the time way, way back. They put Robin Williams in kind of a Dead Poets Society setup, Sister Act, and Dead Poets Society, Sister Act, and then the Naked Gun. Behind him is the DVD menu for the Naked Gun 3. It's like you could change your audio options at the Wax Museum. I guess it doesn't matter. I bet the average person in Korea, it's just English words. It's like if they had Korean words behind somebody at a museum here. So here is Leo and Rose, who I think were the newest figures at the Wax Museum when I went there in Buena Park. Today, they've separated Leo and Rose. Now Leo is standing there like this, and he looks like, I don't know, he looks like he's at a Soul Asylum concert or so. I don't know what is supposed to be happening here. Here's you can look up and see his face. I don't know if this is supposed to be that he's underwater. This is supposed to be dead Leo. It's interesting that the Titanic figure was one of the last ones added because, as you can see, if you look at the sign down there at the bottom, Titanic, the exhibit, was one of the last things hosted in the museum. So after they took all the figures out, they had props and actual pieces of the Titanic on display as a temporary museum. In Buena Park, Brittany had red, like leather hip hugger pants and sort of like an American themed top. They have redressed her more than once. This is one of her outfits. They also put her in this outfit in front of a photo of Brittany wearing that outfit. Their placard says that Michael Jackson is in the original outfit from the Bad music video. The rumor was that Michael Jackson went to the museum more than once and told them to remove the wax figure and would just stand there in place. I don't know if it's true. I feel like Michael Jackson was one of those people at the time where you could make up anything about him and we'd all be like, well, that's probably, yeah, he owns the Elephant Man. Yep, he has Pirates of the Caribbean in his basement. George W. Bush was president of the United States when the museum closed, so they had a photo op area with him. He's now in an area in between Mikhail Gorbachev and Abraham Lincoln. Around the corner from him is Joe Biden, as well as other world leaders. Here's the Hulk Hogan figure from the Movieland Wax Museum. I had thought that this was in the Hulk Hogan beach shop in Orlando, Florida, because they do have like a Hulk Hogan mannequin, but it's not this one. So this one moved out there to South Korea. This is an actor named Sol Young-gu who played Ricky Dozan, who's a legendary Japanese wrestler, and he played him in a South Korean movie. And so he stands as Ricky Dozan outside of the ring where Hulk Hogan is posing. The museum has other exhibits that weren't at the Buena Park one. They're always adding new stuff. I saw they have the Frozen characters and a lot of modern characters that came about well after that museum. Also, soccer players, some anime characters. By the way, if you enjoy this video, be like the Fonz, or at least this wax sculpture of him. Give it a thumbs up. Click that thumbs up button. In a moment, a couple boxes are going to pop up. On this side will be the one that YouTube says is best for you, but on this side will be the one where I show you the history of Movieland Wax Museum when it was in Buena Park. I didn't know it moved to Korea, but I knew everything about what happened to it in Buena Park. Going to show you every figure they had there, all the handprints, everything else. So please check that out. Otherwise, see what YouTube thinks. Maybe YouTube knows you better than I do. Either way, you click this one for that one for me. I'll see you tomorrow, 2 o'clock.